Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, I just watched Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 6, The Bounty, and I did a review already, which is 15 minutes. I thought, no, do a shorter one. And I was sort of processing what just happened because I was really like, wow. I had to stop a few times and just like take a minute to sort of calm down a bit because there was so much happening. Okay, so the episode starts off with Picard and that on the run, of course. They have to break into Daystrom to work out what was stolen. They've got an hour to do it in between Starfleet checks, basically. They get Riker and that in, but as soon as they get Riker and Raffi and Worf in, things are detected and they basically have to run and hopefully come back in an hour to rescue them. So we've got Riker and Worf and Raffi inside Daystrom, which is a bizarre place where they keep all the big scary weapons. So we see the Genesis device, we see the thing from Nemesis, I've forgotten what that was called. We also see a giant mutant attack treble. We also see the remains of some famous captains. The bodies of Picard and Kirk were kept at Daystrom. Like, why would they be keeping the bodies there? Why would they not be buried? If they were buried, why would they remove them covertly and keep their bodies? Like, their bodies aren't them. They're not their souls, their personalities. Like, what good is keeping the bodies? It's the body of a regular human. It doesn't make any sense. So they're in there trying to work out what it is. They're confronted by Moriarty, who is basically being used as an attack dog, and they hear the music, and Riker works out that's Pop Goes the Weasel, which is what I whistled to Data when he was trying to whistle it when I first met him on the holodeck in Encounter at Farpoint. And he whistles the rest of the tune, and Moriarty is like, you can come in. And they find that Data is alive in a way, and he's been set up as the mainframe for Daystrom, and he's protecting all the most secret sort of things because he was a unique device that sort of couldn't be hacked or compromised, so they used Data in that way. Because what happened was in season 1 of Picard, they were supposed to put Data into a synthetic body, not Picard, and that way Data could be a, flesh and blood boy. Basically Pinocchio would realise his dream and get to be a real human being. And it would also allow Brent to play Data as an aging actor because he'd sort of said, I can't, with any integrity, continue to play Data as I age because he's not supposed to age. How they couldn't have just explained that with Data didn't want to be immortal, didn't want to appear immortal. So like Guinan decided to allow himself to age or appear to age for the comfort of the humans around him, and that would have explained it and they could have gotten away with it. But instead they decided to kill Data and kill Picard and give Picard his body, which made no sense. It just made no sense. So they undid all that, and they basically had Sung, the current, post-Nemesis Sung, because there's Sung in every era played by Brent Spiner, basically decide not to make himself his own masterpiece, but actually bring Data back as a real human boy, basically. And he was in the process of integrating all the information and the minds and personalities of Law, B4, Data, all the Sung androids, and he died before he could finish it. So they reintegrate Data. They basically have to escape with Data because they need him, because he knows what happened, because he's the security system, the mainframe of Daystrom. He knows what was stolen. So that's that side of the story. The other side of the story is on the Enterprise, of course, the Titan. When they leave Daystrom, they go to the Fleet Museum because Geordi is managing the Fleet Museum. He's a Commodore, and he's got a nice, safe space where he doesn't have to risk his life or his daughters or anything, because really Starfleet is not compatible with families. If you're going to be dealing with life and death situations and terrorists and aliens and political dramas, you can't really have a family because they're going to be used against you. So he basically pulled back and found a nice safe spot where he didn't have to worry. And Picard comes in and threatens that, and he says, look, I'd love to help you, but I can't. I've got a family, and they will come after them to get to me, so I'm not going to do it. And his daughter, he wants his daughter to leave the ship and be safe, and she's like, no, this is too important. I have to save the galaxy, Dad. And, this is my family, and I can't believe you've forgotten that. You taught me that, and you've forgotten that. Who are you? And she walks off, and he's like ashamed of himself because he does realise he has sort of out of fear, becomes someone he wouldn't recognise and didn't do what his younger self would have done. So he ends up deciding to help them. Now they get themselves into some trouble because basically, even though Picard promises, I'm going to walk away and not endanger you and your kids, the kids, of course, those meddling kids, Jack and Geordie's two daughters, basically beam over to the Bounty, which they pulled out of San Francisco Bay, and apparently it disappeared, which I think makes story canon, which people are talking about, but I don't know what it is because I haven't read the books. They steal the cloaking device so they can get into Daystrom to save Riker and that. So Geordie comes on and fixes that because they couldn't get it online properly. But he realises, you know what, I have to help my daughter. I can't keep my daughter out of this and make her safe by hiding. I have to basically help them. So he gets back into the fold. And it was great to see Geordie come on the ship and reunite with Gates and Beverly and Worf and everything, and it was really great to see those scenes. But to see him as just this angry, you're threatening my family by being here. I can't play this game with you. I'm out of this game. I've got too much to risk now. And see him to finally come back to Geordie and be like, no, risk is the game. That's what this is. It was a nice little character development and all that. So it was great to see LeVar back. Great to see all the actors interacting together. We had like a conference room scene with most of the actors again talking about what was happening in the situation they had to get and everything. But yeah, what happens? Starfleet basically shows up pretty much on the hour. They have to get Riker and that out. They have to get Data out as well. They have to detach him basically. They do all that, but only because Riker sacrifices himself by basically going out into the hall and keeping the Starfleet security at bay while they escaped. And one of those Starfleet officers was a changeling, and he takes Riker to Vadek's ship. And we see them smacking him around. He's like, you think this is going to work? If you're going to betray my friends, my lifetime friends in Starfleet for you? And she's like, no, not for me. There's your wife. So she gave a big speech about, scorching the earth below Picard's feet and finding everyone he's ever known who could help him to use against him. And who did they get? They got Riker's wife and I guess his kid. So she's on the ship as a prisoner, and that's where the episode ends. So it was a great episode. I didn't know where they were going. Now, I almost forgot what they found when they woke Data up and they brought him back online and integrated his personalities to a degree. They're sectioned off, but we do see Brent Spiner go backwards between the different characters, between Law and B4 and Data, and it was fairly remarkable acting-wise to see him change and that. What did they steal? Picard's body. Why? Why would they steal Picard's body? What do they need Picard's body for? It's just a human body. As a living being, he's unique. His personality, his instincts, what he would do, his legacy, his memories, his legendary, all that stuff. Yes, but just as a corpse, he's just another human body. I don't know what they could gain from keeping and taking and using his original body. And what was Kirk there for? I mean, I have to go back and I haven't read The Preserver. I've got all the books, but I haven't actually had the time to read them all. So I know Judith and Garfield Reeve Stevens brought and William Shatner brought Kirk back post Star Trek 6 and Generations, and there was a whole story there, and this series seems to validate that as canon, but I don't know what the hell happened. So a lot of people are upset to see Kirk's body and to see that's where he's dead and that's where his body is, but I'm not sure what it means for the series and for his character. I've got to go back and research all that stuff. But great episode. It was amazing to get Data back. It's great to see the cast back together interacting. A lot of starship porn, a lot of Starfleet flying around, shooting at each other. It was a really great episode. Nice to see that the Fleet Museum is the original space dock from Star Trek 3 that has a bunch of little docks all set up with all the most important ships. So I guess you can go and walk around and look at them from the outside or beam on and do a tour. And it's just amazing to see that. The weird thing was I was expecting to see the original Enterprise, but I keep forgetting, because I thought the original Enterprise was the first and only Constitution to return home. All the rest were destroyed. All the 12 Constitution classes that there were, only one of them returned and was refitted. and the rest was story. But they had the New Jersey there. I'm like, what was the New Jersey? I thought they had one. At one point, I thought they had one Constitution class ship that they changed into an Enterprise for a museum piece. I thought that's what they did. But instead, they just had the New Jersey as an example of a original Constitution class ship from the TOS era. So I'm not quite sure where all that goes. But either way, the episode was amazing. I don't want to see what they do to Deanna and Riker in the next episode. I'm not looking forward to that. I was upset that they separated Riker because I wanted the crew together. I wanted them to be, bottle show all together on the ship. And I'm sure he'll get back with the others. They'll free him and they'll have everyone on the ship. I've heard that we do get a scene with all the actors together. But I'm a bit anxious about what's going to happen. And yes, that means jeopardy. That means that's, good in one way that I'm worried about what's going to happen. But I also don't know if I want to see it. But we'll see what's going to happen in the next episode.